Hi, this is Steve from the Movie Dudes, and I'm going to give my review on The Evil Dead 2. Kind of rhymes on that one. Awesome. Well, no, that's not it. I've got more to say. But what else can I say other than that? Sam may give you the more professional, critical reviews to movies, but I live in Fanboyville. I am blinkered to anything outside of what I remember from Nostalgia Berg, like Otisburg, but bigger. And the population is numero uno. Okay, so Evil Dead 2 is the fantastic splatstick sequel to the far more serious gore fright fest that was The Evil Dead. See, originally, The Evil Dead was going to be released under the title The Book of the Dead. The title being taken from the key prop in the movie, The Book of the Dead, the ancient tome, which when its passages are read aloud invoke the demons that lurk within the dark places, also known as the Deadites to fans. This title was dropped due to the producers wondering if it would make people think they had to read for 90 minutes. Stupid idea. I mean, to be honest, I couldn't care less what the film was called, as long as it was made the same. It could have been called Bruce Campbell versus the Army of Tampons, and I would have still thought it was incredible. So anyway, The Evil Dead was a far more serious attempt at a limb dismembering, shovel decapitating, chainsaw carving, putrefying corpse horror movie, whereas Evil Dead 2 takes a far more comic approach. The same kind of dark humour that carries throughout the Evil Dead franchise and can be seen in Drag Me to Hell and Darkman and well, even Spider-Man 3. Yes, I said it, I brought Spider-Man 3 into an Evil Dead 2 review. So from this film onwards, the dark humour goes forth. I mean, it even goes very Three Stooges by the third movie, Armored Darkness, and continues through the comic books and the must-own video games, Fistful of Boomstick and Regeneration, which are on Xbox Original and PlayStation 2, so available at bargain prices. The first film took years to make, reshooting scenes because cast members had finished their time, they'd gone away, so they resorted to using little Ted Raimi of Spider-Man and Xena fame to wear awesomely fake masks and stand in for the actors who were unavailable. Whereas Evil Dead 2 was a more professional production thanks to the cult success of The Evil Dead on VHS tape. It was shot in a school gymnasium. The set of the cabin was recreated after the original had burnt down between the movies. The great thing about this set was that on several force tracking shots where the camera moves through the cabin after the characters, you can sometimes see that there is no ceiling on the cabin and you can actually see crew watching from the rafters. I mean, that's awesome. Mistakes like that make a movie. If it's a low budget movie like this. If it's a Michael Bay movie, no excuse. So to anyone who starts to watch this movie, it gets very confusing. I was confused at first. I mean, after seeing the events of the first film, here's the explainer. Ash doesn't take another girlfriend to the cabin for another night of hell. Instead of reshooting or using footage from the opening or other parts of the first film, they start again with just Ash and Linda in the classic Oldsmobile. You'll remember the Oldsmobile car because it was actually Ben Parker's car from Spider-Man. It appears in all the Sam Raimi films, even in Quick and the Dead, where they stripped it down and put a covered wagon on top of the chassis. However, the first 10-15 minutes is actually a reimagined recap of the first film, but in bullet point style chunks. Ash and Gale go to cabin. Ash plays recording. Kanda, Kanda, Kanda. The girl is possessed. Shovel, lop, goes ahead. Dig, 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 buried. Giant cross. Then girl comes back, attacks. Workshed. Chainsaw, vroom vroom, hack, hack, hack. Weird headless Muppet. Daylight. Okay, that was a random recap of the first film and the opening to this film. The point is, if you skip the first 10 to 15 minutes of Evil Dead 2 and you just start at the point where the camera smashes through the cabin straight at Ash, that's the final shot of the first movie, and Ash gets it right in the face and starts spinning through the woods, that's actually the beginning of this second story. And there we have it. Now we are at the exact point where the first Evil Dead ended and now the second story actually begins. See, it confused me for years, like I said before, why Ash would be dumb enough to take yet another Linda to the cabin and then play the tape again after the first time. But like I say, what we got was a random reincarnation of the first film just to tide you over 10 minutes to get you back into the story. Okay, so there I'm talking about Ash, and for fans, who the fuck is Ash? Well, you know, the story focuses on our hero, Ashley J. Williams, played by Bruce Campbell. An actor so cool that Kurt Russell even thinks that he's cool, and that's cool. For someone like as cool as Kurt Russell to think Bruce Campbell's cool, that's cool. It was released in... even in films are really hard to judge when they're released because they take so long to cross over the world now. I mean, released in 1987 under the company Rosebud, which is a fake production company, because Dino De Laurentiis wasn't actually allowed to release. I believe it was an R-rated picture. I'm not too good with the American ratings to compare to the UK ratings. So he wasn't allowed to release an R-rated picture. So what they did was they did a fake production company intro, and that's how they got around that. The movie really begins, though, the style and storyline that the franchise is now famous for. Ash gets great one-liners like groovy. I mean, well, that's one worder, but it follows up with "Hail to the King," "Give me some sugar, baby." And after Deadites get into his hand and make it go bad, he has to lop it off at the wrist. Sometime later, after eventually being almost driven mad by a laughing room, which is a key scene, the fellow demon snacks for this movie arrive. You have Annie, who's going to the cabin to see her father, Professor Raymond Noby, who discovered and studies the Book of the Dead. He's actually the one you listen to on the tape who recites the passages from the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, loosely translated, the Book of the Dead, and he's to blame every time the Deadites show up because that's who they listen to. But who, as we know at this time, is dead as shit. And his wife Henrietta, who we hear from the second recital of the tape, is dead as shit and in pieces in the fruit cellar, buried. She's that dead. Well, Annie doesn't know this, and with her blonde QVC dude boyfriend, along with a couple of rednecks that they pick up on the road because they meet Jake and Bobby Joe, who are blocking off the destroyed bridge, which is all ripped up in the shape of a claw at the end. Who knows why they're blocking a road that leads to nowhere, but they're out in the middle of the night, and the guy seems so lazy. Why would he be out there blocking it? But he's a real dirtbag. He's a greaseball of a man, and I tell you, he gets it in the end. And I say when he gets it in the end, he gets it twice, thrice. He gets thrown headfirst into a tree. He gets stabbed through the chest with a dagger, and he gets dragged into a cellar. Gosh, gosh, gosh. Man, you think Johnny Depp gets it bad in Nightmare on Elm Street, you need to check this scene out. Anyway, they arrive and find Ash covered in blood, missing a hand, chainsaw, and a shotgun, and no parents. Can anyone say red rum? So, one by one, the Deadites either take possession of their victims or tree rape them. Oh, and Ash is sometimes possessed and sometimes not, but he's alright. He's alright. Anyway, Ash is thrown into the cellar, the tape is played. We hear about Henrietta. Turns out she ain't as dead as shit as we thought she was. She just looks like shit. Ted Raimi pops up in what can only be described as the rubber moo-moo version of a decaying corpse suit. From his shallow grave, then he's going to swallow your soul. Evidently, swallowing your soul involves going in through your anus because his head suddenly shrinks right down and his neck goes right out. So you got this long neck, little head, so you can just slurp you right out. Anyway, Ash is pulled from the cellar, the trap door is slammed down, pop, goes an eyeball right across the room into Bobby Joe's mouth. Classic. Even better, you can see the wire that it's guided into her mouth with. The chainsaw modification scene is epic. It's all clink, clink, vroom, 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 vroom. Chains for a hand, bitch. Groovy. Well, I'm not going to retell the entire film. You need to see it. It's worth seeing. I give it 10 pencils in the ankle. That's for people who've seen the first film. Thank you.